Alright, guys, imagine this. You're driving through Yellowstone National Park at night. No streetlights, no houses, no gas stations or anything, and not even cell service. Just miles of wilderness. The trees are really tall, the fog is really thick, and the road just feels like it's gonna stretch on forever. And the entire time you have that feeling, the primal human instinct that something is watching you. And then you see her, just a woman standing on the edge of the road. She's wearing a wedding dress, not a cute Pinterest wedding dress either. I'm talking about old-fashioned with heavy fabric, really long, nice sleeves, dragging him across the asphalt. And she's perfectly still, like she's waiting. And then when the veil moves slightly from the wind, like she's breathing, you slow down, your headlights hit her, and then you realize she doesn't have a face, no mouth, no eyes, no nose, not even a head.
Okay, so first of all, she's serving. Like, that is so much commitment to a single theme to do. And second of all, I'm not stopping because, I really love horror. I respect horror. I am a huge horror supporter, fanatic. But, I am not about to become an unpaid extra in her haunted backstory.
Because legends say, if you stop for her, you will not make it back.
Yeah, and because you stop for a woman in a wedding dress in the middle of Yellowstone at night, that's not paranormal at all. That's just, honestly, a really bad life choice.
And people say she really isn't alone.
All right, guys, welcome back, you creeps, weirdos, and emotionally unstable night drivers. This is Two Idiots Among the Dead,
the podcast where we tell you scariest stories from folklore, true crime, and urban legends in history.
So you don't have to go out there like a dumbass and get yourself murdered for content.
I am your host, Angel. I bring the research, the facts, and the nightmare fuel.
And I'm your host, Lilith, horror lover, professional skeptic, and I would absolutely survive a haunting because I don't answer fucking strange noises for anything.
And for today's episode, we are going to go to one of the most terrifying places in America,
Yellowstone National Park. A place that's gorgeous, magical, and also actively trying to kill you.
We are talking about today
the Headless Bride of Yellowstone,
which is a ghost story that is told by many of the tourists, locals, and park employees, and of course anybody who's ever driven those roads too late at night.
And if you're listening while driving, just know if you see something in your headlights,
don't stop.
Yeah, just please don't stop. Keep on moving.
Before we even talk about the bride, we have to talk about Yellowstone itself, because Yellowstone is not like much parks. It isn't cute family hike, pack a sandwich, park energy. This is a very massive place. It stretches across Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana.
Yeah, Yellowstone is basically pretty much like if you are Mother Nature, you made a whole damn theme park, and this theme park is so like, I'm stronger than you.
Yeah, it was established in 1872, making it the first national park in the United States, and it is famous for its geysers, hot springs, and wildlife.
And tourists with absolutely no survival instincts whatsoever.
Now, of course, we know Yellowstone does have grizzly bears, wolves, bison, and of course the bison are adorable until you remember, they're basically living tanks with rage issues.
Yeah, I mean, bisons are just cows that got into CrossFit and then developed a major attitude problem.
And obviously the terrain itself is dangerous. You got thermal pools that can reach temperatures that will kill you in seconds. Obviously cliffs, rivers, which obviously unstable ground. And there are parts of Yellowstone that are so remote that if anything happens, help will not come right away.
Which is why it is the perfect setting for a ghost story. Because you know what they say, if you disappear in Yellowstone, it's not even suspicious. It's just called a Tuesday.
Exactly, and that is why this makes the Headless Bride story feel so unsettling. Because it's not like a haunted mansion, it's not a creepy abandoned asylum, it's nature, open, wide wilderness. And people see something out there, and you can't just say, oh, it's probably the neighbor playing a prank, because there really isn't a neighbor.
No, honestly, the neighbor is a bear, and the bear is not doing some kind of weird bear cosplay. The bear is doing actual murder.
So let's get into it. The Headless Bride of Yellowstone. It is one of those legends that doesn't really have a single official origin story, of course. It exists in many different varieties and versions, and depending on who tells it, the details can and will shift. But the core is always the same, a bride that tragically dies, and her spirit still haunts Yellowstone. And speaking of haunted brides, there is one chilling story that lingers in the halls of the Yellowstone's Old Faithful Inn.
Oh no, this sounds fancy and terrifying at the same time. I kind of like it.
Well, think about it. In the early 1900s, there was a young Harris who eloped with an older servant. The honeymoon should have been, romantic, nice, sweet, but in the end, it ended in tragedy. After he gambled away her dowry, they fought, he vanished, and somehow she was found brutally murdered. Her head was missing.
Well, shit. That kind of escalated really fast. I mean, like, ouch. Talk about a honeymoon that nobody wants to go on, like, ever.
Right? And, ever since, guests and staff of the inn have said that they've reported sightings of ghostly brides drifting through the inn's twisted corridors, up in the high crow's nest balcony, sometimes headless, sometimes her face will flicker, into view before it just disappears again.
Wow, that's actually terrifying and also very iconic. Like, yes, queen. Imagine checking into a fancy lodge for hot cocoa and then getting ghosted by a bride, like literally fucking ghosted.
Yeah, I mean, the tale has become woven into the inn's early history, and honestly, a haunting reminder that even a grand new lodge in the Wild West couldn't really escape, its own dark folklore.
And here I thought hotels just had mold and bad Wi Fi. Now I have to worry about Headless Harris? Perfecto. And she's not just haunting like, ooh, spooky. She's haunting like, I'm about to ruin your entire mental health for free, mind you. Like, you don't even have to pay a damn dollar for that shit.
No, most versions will say that she appears on the side of a road. It's usually at night, where it's foggy, and sometimes in the kind of darkness where your headlights will barely cut through it. And there's drivers that report seeing a woman in a wedding gown standing on the side of the road, or sometimes directly in the middle. Some will say she's crying, some say silent, others suggest she says she gestures for help. And when you get close enough to see her clearly, she doesn't have a head.
I mean, that's like already terrifying, but also like, how are you wearing a veil with no head? Because, like, come on, physics here are not really adding up together for that.
Well, that's kind of what makes it so unnatural. There's some versions claim she holds her own head in her hands, and others just say it's missing, gone. And the scariest part is that people will say she'll appear close and closer each time you look away. Like, she's not walking, she's just moving. Kind of like, Doctor Who, the Weeping Angels.
Huh. Okay, so she's glitching out. She's buffering, like the old version way, slow. She's basically the Wi-Fi demon of Yellowstone.
Now, one other popular version of a story says that she's just a young bride traveling through Yellowstone after her wedding, possibly on a honeymoon, possibly on the way to a new life, and her carriage, yes, there's a carriage in some of the older versions, crashes, or her car crashes. And, she dies in a brutal accident. Her head is taken off by the impact, and her new husband either dies too or survives, and she's just left forever alone.
Damn, I mean, that is depressing, but also, like, the park is already dangerous. Now you're gonna be adding some bridal trauma. Yeah, this Yellowstone said, let's spice it up, because who fucking needs a bridezilla running around? I sure wouldn't want to run into that shit.
Honestly, but there's also another version that's much darker. Some say it was her husband who murdered her, that he went to the woods, just decapitated her, and then her spirit wanders the roads looking for help or, maybe revenge.
Damn, okay, so she's not just a ghost at this point. She's a ghost with motive, and ghosts with motives are the ones that literally stress me out.
Now, here's the version that feels the most realistic. She wasn't murdered. It's just she simply died because, Yellowstone is unforgiving. A crash, a fall, a wildlife attack. And the wedding dress details, that's the part that makes it really stick out in people's memories, because seeing someone in a wedding dress in the wilderness is not really right. It doesn't belong.
It's almost as if, like, you're seeing a clown at a funeral or a man that's wearing, first off, cargo shorts at a wedding. It is beyond unnatural.
Okay, so some people claim sightings all the time. Tourists report, seeing her in the foggy roads, or the park employees that whisper about her like it's some, known thing. And the story spreads because it's the perfect folklore tale for a campfire.
Yeah, and honestly, Yellowstone already has that whole vibe where you're like, something bad has happened here. Like, even the trees are getting very judgmental over here.
And, well, many versions describe the same scene. Car driving late at night, sudden shape in the road, obviously a woman in white, a veil, and then the moment when the driver slows down and realizes that this figure doesn't seem quite normal. Some say the bride stands there until the last second and then just, poof, vanishes. And some people say she appears in the rearview mirror. And some claim if you stop and roll down the window, you'll hear her voice, soft, whispering, asking for help.
And that's when you do what any fucking sane person does. You lock your fucking doors, you speed the hell up, and you call your therapist on speed dial later.
Yeah, I mean, some legends say if you stop, she will possibly climb into your car. And if she does climb in, she'll leave, like, water, mud, or maybe even blood behind. And when you turn your head again, she's, like, gone, but your seat is still wet.
I'm sorry, but if a headless bride gets in my car, I'm setting the whole fucker on fire. That's not my car anymore. That's hers. She owns it now. I'm just gonna let that shit burn.
I mean, I don't blame you. Others say she doesn't disappear. Like, she'll just stay, and if you look away from her too long, she will start screaming. A sound that doesn't come from a mouth, because obviously she doesn't have one.
Great. So it's not just haunted at this point, it's also fucking loud. That is just perfect.
Now, let's be honest. A Yellowstone is a place where it will play tricks on your mind. Long drives, darkness, fog, you're exhausted, which can lead to possible fear.
Yeah, and also tourists, because half of these people are running on beef jerky, Red Bulls, and vibes.
Exactly. There's a phenomenon called highway hypnosis, where when you're driving, your brain basically just goes into autopilot, and with the added exhaustion, stress, and the darkness, you may start to hallucinate or misinterpret shapes that you might see. Like a reflective sign can be a person, or a tree stump can look like a figure. Like the fog can distort headlights.
And Yellowstone fog is not normal fog whatsoever. It's like haunted soup fog. It's fog with intention to fuck you up.
Yeah, and then there's the more unsettling possibility, like, people aren't hallucinating, they're actually seeing something real. A person, a lost hiker possibly, that's injured or, in distress. And if that person happens to be wearing white, that story becomes supernatural really fast.
Yeah, because the minute a woman in a white dress shows up anywhere at night, people are like, ooh, it's a ghost. Like, girl, please. Maybe she's having the worst day of her fucking life. Like, maybe she just left some fucking bum fuck at the altar. Who knows?
And, I mean, there is another realism angle. Yellowstone does have fatal car crashes and, accidents, and has had deaths. And these tragedies do become part of the landscape. Like, people will remember them. They tell stories, and over time, the story just kind of grows, teeth.
So, like, folklore is basically trauma that got bored and decided to become entertainment, pretty much.
And the Headless Bride is part of a much older folklore archetype. One of the most famous ghost stories templates of all time is the vanishing hitchhiker.
Which, that is basically the ghost genre's favorite hobby. Traumatizing drivers because, like, why the fuck not?
And the vanishing hitchhiker story does exist in countless different cultures, but in American folklore, it typically goes like this. A driver sees a young woman walking alone at night, sometimes often in a white dress, sometimes maybe she's a bride, sometimes a girl who's went to prom. And the driver stops, they offer her a ride, she gets in, gives the person an address, and then when the driver does arrive to the location, she vanishes. The driver goes to address and tell the family, and then they find out the girl died years ago, often in a car crash on that same road.
So, basically, the moral is stop picking up fucking strangers on the side of the road. Which is a moral I already live by because I'm not in the mood to be murdered by anyone.
Exactly. Like, these stories often serve as warnings. Don't drive tired, don't speed, and don't stop on the dangerous roads. But the Headless Bride takes it a step further, because decapitation is one of the most shocking and visceral ways to die. It literally makes the story stick.
It also makes her very unforgettable. Like, she's literally branding herself as the scariest thing you've ever seen. Like, if you're going to haunt someone, you better fucking haunt with effort.
Now, here's where the story does get darker. Some versions say she's not just, wandering, she's definitely haunting. That she appears to lure the drivers, that she wants someone to stop, because she wants to replace what she lost. Like, she lost her life, her love, or her head.
Okay, let me be real. I'm sorry, but if she's trying to steal my head, she's gonna be very disappointed because, like, there's not a lot going on in my head after 8 p.m. every day.
Now, some tellings of the story say if you stop and step out of the car, you'll find her veil just, floating, but her body is gone. And then you'll hear footsteps behind you. Heavy footsteps, dragging, and when you turn around, she's right there, too close, and you cannot scream, because she doesn't want to be alone anymore.
And see, that's why I don't get out of my car. My car is literally my emotional support metal box.
Now, some people say she appears near bridges, and that if you stop near a bridge, you'll hear water, even if there's not a river nearby, and you'll smell something, like wet flowers, like funeral lilies.
Oh, see, that is just disgustingly romantic. Like, congrats on your haunting queen. You brought ambience.
And, well, others say she does appear in the rearview mirror, and every time you blink, like I said, she gets closer until she's, like, right behind you. But she's silent. Her veil's covering nothing. And then the driver feels like a cold breath on their neck, but literally, there's no mouth.
See, that is a level of petty haunting that I can respect because she's like, I could kill you, but I'm going to psychologically ruin you first.
Now, we have to talk about why Yellowstone is, like, the perfect breeding ground for stories just like this one. Like, Yellowstone has real horror. The thermal pools are deadly. Some are literally acidic, like, can dissolve flesh. And yes, people have died by falling in them.
And not in a cool cinematic way either. It's always because someone wanted a selfie like, oh god, look at me guys, I'm standing on unstable ground. And then Yellowstone is like, no.
Yeah, that, and Yellowstone has had bear attacks, fatal falls, drownings, and people who just simply vanish. The wilderness is just so huge, if you step off a trail, even just a little, you will get lost. And in that environment, folklore thrives, because if someone's going missing, there is no clean explanation.
And that's when people start going, it was the bride. Because it's easier to blame a ghost than admit nature doesn't care about you at all.
Exactly. There's, like, another layer that people talk about, the so-called zone of death. A legend, a legal theory that Yellowstone has a portion where legal jurisdiction gets complicated.
Which is slightly horrifying because why does the park have a DLC expansion pack for crime going on?
Right? It's not like officially a murder zone, but the fact that people even discuss it adds to Yellowstone's really creepy reputation. Now, why does legends like this survive? Why do people just keep telling it?
Because it's a bride. It's tragic, it's dramatic, and it's aesthetic. And honestly, if I'm going to be haunted, I want it to be someone with a storyline.
Exactly. The Headless Bride taps into something like so primal. It's like the fear of the road at night, of being isolated, and the fear of helping someone and regretting in the end. And also the fear of marriage.
Okay, stop. Because that's real. The scariest part of this story is that she probably planned a whole wedding and then didn't even get to enjoy the cake. Now, that's the real horror.
And there's just something about a wedding dress, a symbol of love, joy, new beginnings, and turning it into something haunting. It becomes like a symbol of death or unfinished life, of something being stolen.
And I love that because horror is always like, oh, here's something beautiful. And then it's like, well, now it's cursed.
So, what do we think? Shrill? Is the Headless Bride an actual ghost haunting of Yellowstone? Or is it folklore that's built off of tragedy?
See, I kind of think that it's folklore, but folklore with a reason because people have really died there. And if you do drive those snows at night, your brain is going to create monsters because your brain is like, we're alone in the woods, we are prey, and it needs something to blame.
And I think there's any place in America where a ghost could realistically exist, Yellowstone is it. Like, there's so much energy there. Death, isolation, and like so much fear.
Also, Yellowstone kind of feels ancient. Like, it's been there forever, and humans are just little guests, annoying little guests too at that.
And if the bride is real, then she's the perfect embodiment of that. A spirit trapped in a place where people or humans don't really belong. So, let's end this episode with a final image. It's late at night, the road is empty, the fog is rolling in, you're driving through Yellowstone, telling yourself you're almost out. Then, your headlights catch something white, a figure, standing in the road, a wedding dress, a veil. You slow down. Your hand tightens on your wheel, and for a second you think, maybe it's just a tourist. Maybe it's just somebody lost. Or maybe it's a prank. And then she lifts her hands, and the veil falls back. And there's nothing there. No head, no face, just empty darkness where her features should be. And then you realize you're not alone, and you never were.
Okay, first of all, if I see a bride in the road at night, I'm not slowing down. I'm not stopping. I'm not rolling down my fucking window. I'm not doing the whole bullshit, are you okay thing. Because I have seen horror movies, and I'm not interested in being a statistic.
Oh, and if she turns and starts walking towards your car?
Oh, I'm flooring that bitch, and I ain't even sorry. Because respectfully, I hope she finds peace, but she is not finding it inside my Subaru.
And what if you look in the rearview mirror and she's there, just sitting in your back seat, veil draped over nothing, waiting, silent?
Then I'm driving my ass into the nearest ranger station, screaming like a Victorian woman, because that is above my pay grade.
So, whether the Headless Bride is real, or whether she's just a story that was born from tragedy in the wilderness, the fear she represents is real. Of isolation, of darkness, the fear of the road at night, and the fear that something is out there waiting for you.
And if you ever drive through Yellowstone and you see a woman in white on the road, no you didn't. Mind your fucking business. Just keep on driving by.
Because in a place like Yellowstone, even the ghosts have the advantage.
And the scariest part, if she isn't a ghost, then she's something living, and that is way worse.
Alright, guys, thank you for listening to today's episode of Two Idiots Among the Dead. If you enjoyed this episode about the Headless Bride,
or if you're currently paranoid and checking your back seat,
make sure you follow, subscribe, and leave a review.
And tell your friends, because if we're scared, everybody needs to be scared.
In the next episode, we'll be back with more folklore, more horror,
and more reasons to never leave your house again.